So Kumo obviously asked me to record a bit for his video, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep it short and sweet like he wanted, but I'll try, I guess. But when he asked me that, I realized that I've never, sincerely answered that question. It was always wrapped in hyperbole and satire or trolling people. So I'm going to try to do that today. I'm going to try to give my sincere, honest side of this entire debacle. And you'll never see this in any of my videos. You'll not see this on Twitter. I'm never going to talk about this as seriously ever again. And the reason why is because it's too funny to play to the fantasies of the people complaining than it is to actually tell the truth about the situation, because the truth here is stupid, and it actually makes me look even stupider, and not because of the bestiality stuff, which I guess you could argue makes me look stupid, but the shit around it makes me look stupider. Like, some of the dumb thoughts and dumb decisions I made along the way are hilarious, and they're more boring than just saying I have terabytes or brontobytes of bestiality porn. But unfortunately, before we do that, we got to go backwards in time to a great year, the great year of 2009. It's a year after the recession. Prices are fluctuating for basically everything quite rapidly, and I, have a job, and I get a job mainly because, other than weed, but the primary reason I have a job at this time period is because I'm saving up for a fucking gaming machine. I had always had computers when I was really young. They were mostly family computers, but I didn't have, an actual gaming computer that I could play anything other than, Doom 1 or Age of Empires on. So I wanted to build something that was, a gaming rig. It was modern, etc. So I don't have a whole lot of the parts from it. Sadly, I don't have the original graphics card that I had bought for it, which, if I recall correctly, was the AMD Radeon HD 5870, if I recall correctly. But somewhere in my room, I have the graphics card that I purchased in roughly 2014 that I installed into that computer, trying to upgrade the graphics card and all that jazz. And I don't know where the hell it is. And if I remember correctly, it was like an R9 270X or something like that, or 280X. But that doesn't matter. What does matter is I do still have the processor, which is an i5 750. And for those that weren't around at the time, that is the very first Intel i5 that they ever made. I was 20 years old in 2009. Give me a break. But of course, the last thing, and the thing that people bitch about the most, the hard drive. I still have the original hard drive for that computer. And you shouldn't get this confused with the hard drive that I showcased in the video I did responding to Lio. Me actually writing fucking zoo porn XXXX on this fucking goddamn hard drive. Well, actually, it was technically on paper that was taped to the hard drive. Did more psychological damage to these people. This fucking IDE drive from 1999, thinking that it actually, unironically, contained the very folder I've been talking about. That is a much older hard drive for a Windows 98 computer, and I still have the boot disk for that computer. But this is a SATA, not an IDE hard drive. It's 160 gigabytes from Seagate. The model number is ST3160815AS. You can look that up and confirm that it's a real drive. And then, if you want to look up the date to confirm that this was in fact manufactured in 2008, at the end of 2008, the date code is 09165. And so the point is, at the end of 2009, I created my very first gaming computer. And shortly after building that gaming computer, within the same year, I discovered this lovely heavenly place, or at least was at the time, called 4chan. And in that, I was introduced to a lot of shit. Now, granted, I want to make this point clear. This was not the first time I saw gross out fucking shit or trolling or anything. It was not unusual when I was growing up to wake up in the morning and see that your Motorola Razr was filled to the brim with like fucking scat and bestiality porn that your fucking friends had sent you while you were asleep. So that concept was something that wasn't foreign to me. And if you don't believe that, by the way, you can go look up Two Girls, One Cup if you want to. That was very popular at the time to troll people with. The entire idea was to send it to somebody to watch them get grossed out. That was the entire point. It's actually referred to by some as the shock jock era, which, by the way, was not just something that was done by cringe people on the internet. It was also done in the mainstream. There are movies like Freddy Got Fingered, or the show Jackass, including like the first couple movies, all showcase the same behavior. I mean, how many people went to go see Jackass with their friends and they weren't really laughing at the movie as much as they were laughing at their friends for being the weirdo normies that got bent out of shape and cried about it, right? There was a lot of people. It was very common at this time period. Hell, even popular radio hosts at the time, like Howard Stern, participated in this shock jock era. Whereas today, from my standpoint anyway, the world has become increasingly more sensitive. But regardless of all of that, somewhere between 2009 and 2014, I created a folder on here called Trigger Faggot. And that folder is old, as I said, and that folder is, what, like probably 200 megabytes or something? It's very, very tiny. It consists of only a handful of like very tiny videos that are very poor quality that on a modern HD screen would look even more like shit. Might get away with it on a phone, but probably not. But primarily it has, you know, pictures and I think a handful of actually really bad GIFs. This folder is very old, and the truth is, you can get a lot of what's in that folder on numerous fucking 4chan archives. Now, you might be saying at this point, well, in the past, you said terabytes, and now you're saying it's a 160 gigabyte drive, and if you're a real sleuth, you might be asking, well, you said in the past 440 megabytes, and now you're saying 200 megabytes. Which is it? Well, the answer to that's pretty fucking simple. You could just go on Amazon right now and purchase like an external kit thing that allows you to essentially convert this into a glorified flash drive. And I just transferred the Trigger Faggot folder onto a hard drive that I had at the time during all of that drama that was going on at the time, somewhere in 2022. Quick correction, it would actually be 2021. You know, the things that Lio is referencing.
This is when I started digging into Pooh a bit more, and found posts dating back years of him defending the fact that he owns terabytes of zoo porn because it isn't illegal.
And as a result of that, I added other things to that folder. So it wasn't just the 200 megabytes it was originally. I added tons and tons and tons and tons of edgy memes. I didn't add any of the bestiality shit or anything like that because I didn't have to. I had enough of it, and it was small enough that I didn't really need to worry about space. But the sad reality is the reason I said terabytes.
I'm curious, like, why do you just have that, though?
God, Vlad, why do you have it, Vlad?
Why are so many crybabies? I have terabytes! The truth is, I genuinely thought that I had added, like, that many more memes. I thought that I had added that many more fucking edgy clips from YouTube and from Rumble and stuff like that. Especially Twitter clips. There's so much unhinged shit on Twitter that you can clip and put in a folder and then trigger somebody with later that isn't even bestiality or any porn of any kind. And that's a lot of the shit that I added. Hell, here's a screenshot of me talking to somebody and telling them that a GIF that they had posted in my server is now in my Trigger Faggot folder. And that was actually the newest thing I had added to the folder at the time. And I guess technically speaking was the very last new file that I ever added to that folder. And the reason why, well, the truth is, because the hard drive I had put that on, I gave to Gallagher, and I wiped it, like an idiot, actually. So, we're back to square one. We're back to the original 200 and something megabyte folder. I am too lazy to put that fucking folder back on my computer with the new hard drive I installed. I'm way too lazy to do that because I lost the actual memes that I cared about. A lot of those memes. I didn't care about the bestiality porn or any of that shit. I cared about the fucking memes. And sure, I could have, went and dug around to find the thing to make this into an external drive and just plugged it into my computer, let it sit on top of my computer to perpetually fucking troll people, I guess, with it, I suppose. And I could have put it on here, I guess, if I wanted to. Hell, I could have put it on any of these flash drives that I got in a baggie right there. Yeah, sure, I could fucking do that. But here's the reality of it. And here's the truth. I'm too lazy. I don't want to do that. I don't even care enough. You're asking me to go through a lot of effort. You realize that I had actually transferred the original file onto the hard drive that I fucking gave to Gallagher like entire years ago? And for the record, to clarify for the autists among us, what I'm referring to here is the fact that I had actually transferred that folder from the old drive to what was a new drive at the time entire years ago, actually 2 years prior to when I would reformat it and give that hard drive to Gallagher. I lost so many memes, and it's really disheartening, the idea of putting this folder back on the thing and then adding to it, and that's a lot of effort. I don't want to bother with it. In fact, I had to go all the way to my cabin to get this fucking hard drive just for this video. I'm not even sure it even works anymore. I'm not exactly gentle with it, but I mean, it probably does. Those things last potentially forever. And this brings us to a very crucial question. Why is it that I still have the drive stored on a shelf somewhere in my cabin? Actually, I thought it was just in my room, but I dug through my whole room looking for it, and I couldn't find it. It turns out I threw it in a box and took it out back like fucking 100 yards away into my cabin. So why is it I still have it? The reason that I still have that hard drive is the exact same reason I still have the fucking original processor. It's the same reason I still have the RAM, and that is because I was planning to, at some point in the future, rebuild that computer to being like it was when I built it. And this isn't so much sentiment as I just think it would be cool. But a question that was asked of me, it was a really, really good question. If it is true that all that shit's archived, and I can just go and download whatever to send to those people to troll them, what's the point in having this? If it's still there, and you can still download much of what's even on here, why have it? That's a good question. To prove that's the one, you can read the numbers yourself. There are going to be people out there that are going to say cringe shit like, oh, gee golly gosh, that hard drive isn't dead enough. Well, it's very dead. But to those people that say shit like he must still have the folder after this video, well, there's no convincing them. There's nothing I could do or say. I can't shoot a digital folder. And besides, that wasn't for you people anyway, at all. The truth is, well, twofold. Number one, I found actually that hard drive on Amazon recently. It came up and I bought it. I had to pay almost $50 for another copy of that hard drive in particular. And secondly, I don't really particularly give a shit enough because whenever I erased the newer fucking modified version of that fucking folder off that hard drive I gave the Gallagher, I kind of just lost interest and quit giving a fuck. So there you go, Kumo. I hope you found that entertaining.